a man who says he was beaten by ICE agents.
Plus, the debate over liquor licenses, the back and forth over if hotels accused of housing federal agents should be able to renew them.
And the housing help state Democrats are hoping to give to people who are struggling during Operation Metro Surge.
And an emotional day at the Minnesota State Capitol on day one, the tributes after last summer's attack on lawmakers. A lot to get to on this Wednesday morning. Want to pause and say good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Barrett Leone in for Heather Brown this morning. Thanks for joining us today. Whew, what a night for weather up in northern Minnesota. Look at that. This is video from Duluth just after 10:20 last night. Thunder, snow, and lightning amid all of that snow falling. And it's looking rough out there now up in Duluth. This is a live look at conditions. Joseph's been talking about this storm all week, and it's really coming down there for folks. Whew. Joseph, it's going to just be a busy one weather-wise.
So much. I mean, we were just discussing, AJ just said this within the 6 a.m. hour, that the road up there along the North Shore has been closed because of those blizzard conditions up there. The rest of the state is totally fine, but up north and northeast, where it's coming down, the visibility is very, very low. Treacherous conditions up there. They've closed the road, all right? So travel is just not advised. You do not want to get out there. For us, you could do it. There's a lot of people out on the roads. They're going to be wet. We had rain overnight. We're still dealing with some patchy showers around the area here this morning, and those will be kind of on and off as we go through the morning hours. Drier to the south if you're down towards Faribault and some of our communities there, and maybe some dry time up to the northwest for some of our counties out west. Other than that, we're waiting for cold air to move on in. Obviously, just a little too warm right now for us to start picking up on snowfall. Observed rainfall, 1/4 of an inch since the last 12 hours ago, so about 7 p.m. last night. It all happened around 12 to 2:30 in the morning, and then we've had some steady rain on and off here so far this morning as well. Green Tower just means more rain is on the way. In fact, more moisture, I should say, because once we get that 40 down to mid-30s or so, we'll start getting some snow around here. Wind speeds are quite strong, especially down in southwest Minnesota and coming off the lake there. A little calm at the core of that low pressure closer to St. Cloud, but that wind's going to be in place for most of the day today. Snow picks up, I think, closer to lunchtime. There's a chance before then. I think it's going to take a little bit longer, and then we'll have snow in the forecast as we head into the afternoon, evening hours before it kind of trickles down as we go into the late hours tonight. 1 to 2 inches of snow possible by your evening commute. How much by late tonight? We'll discuss that coming up at 7:30.
Sounds like a plan, Joseph Dames. Let's update you when it comes to your next drive. And this is a view, not in the metro area. This is up in the Duluth area, 35 at 63rd Avenue. It is treacherous up there, and you do not want to be on the roads. Matter of fact, there's another highway up there that's closed. This is in Two Harbors. This is Highway 61. It is closed up there right now. Looks like the camera, it's coming on right now. This camera's pixelated, but it was working before. But this camera, it is closed right now because the conditions are so treacherous up in that area. I do want to also show you the traffic map this morning just to reassure you what things are looking like in the metro area, because it is a far different picture here. Take a look at the traffic map. That's good news, despite what's falling in the metro. We're just tracking some rain here, and the look from the cameras here looks so much better too. So I'll take you down to the South Metro right now, down to the Bloomington area, just to kind of show you what we're following right now, because right now, very quiet on the roads. Not a whole lot of activity. 35 at 92nd Street. So just watch out for ponding. But we know it could switch to snow a little bit later on. We'll keep you posted in your next drive.
New this morning, Minnesota and federal authorities are investigating the alleged beating of a Mexican citizen by immigration officers. We told you about this case back in January, where Alberto Castaneda Mondragon suffered from 8 skull fractures. Now, investigators are working to learn how that happened. St. Paul police and FBI investigators canvassed the shopping center parking lot where Castaneda Mondragon says ICE agents repeatedly hit him in the head with a steel baton. ICE, meanwhile, blames the man for his injuries, saying he attempted to flee while handcuffed and hit his head against a concrete wall. But hospital staff who cared for him told the Associated Press a fall like that couldn't account for the injuries he has.
Two Minneapolis hotels at the center of protests like these could be penalized for who may have stayed in their hotels. Minneapolis City Council members are debating renewing the liquor licenses for 2 hotels rumored to have housed ICE agents.
And as our Ashley Grimes reports, one side says it's a matter of safety concerns. Others saying an action like this could further hurt already struggling businesses.
This assembly is unlawful.
Protests erupted outside hotels across the Twin Cities, many believing federal agents were staying there, including the Canopy and the Depot. Those two hotels a topic of debate for Minneapolis City Council. With both their liquor licenses up for renewal, some want to see them revoked.
We believe that a liquor license is a privilege and that privilege should be reserved for businesses who keep the public safety in mind.
Hospitality union members said some employees working at the hotels are fearful of ICE. The two businesses were singled out and the decision delayed at a past meeting. Councilmember Chowdhury pushed Tuesday for further delay.
Do we want to take a moment to do due process and investigate the situation that our constituents throughout the city have raised up as a grave concern or not?
Though other council members, including a lawyer from the city attorney's office, say waiting could open up the council to legal risk.
Not respecting staff's input and opinion here could have tremendous legal and financial impact.
It's not making any kind of sense at all whatsoever. You can't go into people's information and find out who's staying where and what they do for a living.
A city attorney saying just because federal agents are staying at a hotel is not reason to deny a liquor license.
Who stays at the hotel is not, there's no nexus between the liquor, the licensed activity, which is the serving of alcohol, and the activity that which we're concerned.
Ultimately, the council voting for a day-long investigation for city staff to return with findings on Thursday.
Is there a concern that this is a politicization of the liquor license process, and could this set a dangerous precedent for the future?
I think we're following past precedents in doing this. Like if we were just taking up an automatic saying this is revoked without any due process, I think one can make that argument, but this is a due process step.
Ashley Graham's WCCO News.
WCCO reached out to try and pin down what precedent she's referring to. City staff will have time to review complaints and look at 911 calls ahead of Thursday's meeting to see if there is a cause to put conditions on these licenses.
And right now, hotels do have active licenses. They are still able to sell alcohol as this continues to play out. It is 7:07. We need to check in at the live desk. Maria Lissignoli joining us because you're following a new housing stability plan.
That's right. State DFL housing leaders will release that plan today, nearly 2 months into Operation Metro Surge. At the federal level, they're asking for President Trump to end the ICE surge, even as federal leaders have already announced it is ending. At the state and local levels, there's much more they want done. For the state, they want $50 million in rental assistance. They want to give tenants additional time to seek assistance and to provide flexibility for tenants to avoid eviction by accessing community rental assistance. They're also asking for temporary transitions for eviction court proceedings to go to virtual. They're also supporting local-driven solutions to keep Minnesotans safe and stable. They're encouraging Minnesotans and businesses to continue supporting their neighbors. The House Housing and Financial Committee is meeting today at 3 p.m. to go over this plan.
See what happens with that plan. Maria Lissignoli from the live desk. Maria, thanks. A reminder, Maria has your headlines, live updates each weekday morning right here on our 24/7 free streaming service. That is CBS News Minnesota. Happening today, Minnesotans will hold a Capitol rally, march, and legislative visits for accountability and an economic recovery. This, of course, in the wake of the ICE surge. People will be calling on state leaders to account for what they are calling inaction during the ICE surge from the Trump administration. They'll issue demands to help the state, communities, and businesses recover. That rallying is happening this afternoon from 1:10 to 1:45 at the Capitol Rotunda. The march is planned for outside the Capitol complex right afterwards.
The Minnesota legislative session began yesterday, but this year the first day had a different tone and different priorities. It was the first session back since the deadly lawmaker attacks over the summer, which killed former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. Lawmakers put official business to the side and spent the day paying tribute. They shared reflections about their lives and legacies while making appeals to bridge partisan divides.
The way you honor Melissa and Mark is how we conduct ourselves afterwards. It's one thing to be reflective to the past and to tell stories of the past. It's another to what did we learn from that.
Every detail was carefully picked out to commemorate Melissa Hortman, like the therapy dogs at the Capitol. The Hortmans trained service dogs. There were also seed packets for lawmakers and guests to plant flowers, since Hortman loved to garden, and a reception with cake and bread, which was the couple's favorite treats to bake. Even the opening prayer was selected for a reason. It was from St. Francis of Assisi, who Hortman kept on a card in her wallet. As for the Senate's first day back, there was a warm welcome for another victim of those lawmaker attacks as well. State Senator John Hoffman was met with roaring applause upon his return. He and his wife Yvette were also attacked in their home the same night as the Hortmans. A powerful moment as Hoffman walked up the steps and through the doors, a goal he had set for himself while recovering in the ICU.
I return changed, Mr. President, but not deterred. More convinced than ever that the leadership is measured not by how we respond when everything is going right, but how we respond in our hardest hours. Members, let's rise above the noise and let us govern with humility.
A powerful moment. As for day 2, it's back to work with a full agenda for lawmakers. The focus for today is expected to be largely centered around the impact of the ice surge in Minnesota. Democrats are planning to introduce a number of bills to address concerns related to the federal immigration operation. These will cover hot-button issues like ICE agents' access to schools and rental assistance for those impacted by ICE operations. Republicans are also introducing bills to protect public safety officers' personal information and to stop protests outside of someone's home. We'll continue to bring you the very latest right here on CBS News Minnesota.
It has now been 18 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing.
The new updates about evidence found at her home and why investigators think it could be significant.
And the effort from the group Save the Boundary Waters from mining, what they're trying to do, why those who live up there say a vote cannot pass. Let's update you when it comes to your next drive. Let's start up in the Duluth area again because travel up there, it is treacherous this morning. I think we've seen 1 or 2 cars come by. There are highways that are closed up there as well. Highway 61 is closed up there by 2 Harbors, Grand Marais. Can't get up there. I do want to show you the road conditions as far as what we are seeing. You see this right now in the Twin Cities. Things are okay, which is good news. That could change depending on what happens later today with the precip that's continuing to move in. Joseph will update us on that in just a little bit. I do want to show you the roads here. This is just outside of downtown Minneapolis, 35W at 42nd Street. So the roads, they are wet this morning, but we're not tracking any problems throughout the metro. That's reflected in the traffic map. All that green, so which is good news. If you've got someplace to be in the metro, take it slow, though, because it could change the snow, and we want to make sure that you don't end up hydroplaning on the roads. Here's something happening today, a press conference on mining near the Boundary Waters. The organization Save the Boundary Waters will hold a conference ahead of a vote to overturn a 20-year mining withdrawal. This resolution, it aims to use the Congressional Review Act to revoke a public land order. That order protects more than 225,000 acres of federal land in the headwater of the Boundary Waters and the Voyageurs National Park from sulfide or copper mining for 20 years. If this deal is passed, this would allow the Trump administration to fast-track a foreign-owned sulfide or copper mining project proven to be a raw deal for Minnesotans and Americans. We'll keep you updated on what happens today. This morning, we also have new details about the future of a Minnesota lake that lost all of its water. Remember this odd sight from last summer? Lake Alice drained by accident. The Minnesota DNR says it was a mechanical issue. The lake sits inside, I should say, William O'Brien State Park. That's just northeast of the Twin Cities. And at the time, crews were trying to rid the extra water from some heavy rain. Well, now, months later, the DNR said it'll replace the old structure that controls the water level. That work expected to last until fall of next year. The lake is off limits until then. It is now day 18 in the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. And this morning, we're getting updates about a glove found near her home. Law enforcement officials say DNA collected from that glove turned up no matches in the FBI's national database or in the house. So they're saying the sheriff now says they're turning to commercial genealogy databases. Investigators are also looking into gun purchases in the area as they continue to try to find the masked and armed suspect seen in the doorbell camera images that we've shown you. Another piece of evidence, the suspect's backpack, which is sold exclusively, that backpack right there. Here's another shot of it in just a second. That backpack right here, it was sold exclusively at Walmart.
That might be the only piece of evidence that shows up that can put 2 and 2 together. It could be very significant.
The Pima County Sheriff's Office says Walmart has handed over purchase records and names, and Facebook parent company Meta tells CBS News it's offered authorities any assistance as that search continues. In our nation's capital, U.S. Capitol Police arrested an 18-year-old man in D.C. This happened yesterday, and police say this guy ran from his car toward the Capitol building, and he was armed with a gun. According to police, this guy had a tactical vest and gloves. He also had a Kevlar helmet and gas mask in his car. At this time, the man's intended target not clear, but again, this incident in D.C., our nation's capital, it is under investigation. We also want to get you caught up on what's happening in Rhode Island because authorities have identified the shooter who opened fire inside an ice rink. 56-year-old Robert Dorgan, who also went by the name Roberto Esposito, shot and killed his ex-wife and adult son in the stands before being stopped by a Good Samaritan and turning the gun on himself. 3 more people were critically injured in that attack. This was at a high school hockey game. It took place on Monday. Well, here's something happening today that's catching a lot of people's attention, specifically parents. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to face what could be his most critical audience yet because he's expected to testify in a lawsuit brought by a woman and her mother who say social media sites like Instagram and YouTube purposely designed features to addict young users to get them hooked. The now 20-year-old woman says she became addicted as a child, harmed her mental health. This is not Zuckerberg's first time being grilled on Capitol Hill. 2 years ago, he apologized to grieving parents who claim social media contributed to their children's deaths. This time, the social media CEO will need to convince a jury. We'll keep you updated on what happens out in California. Right now, let's give you a live look. This is St. Peter's Square. That is the Vatican in Italy this morning. You can see lots of people out there right now. Now, today is the start of Lent. Today is Ash Wednesday. Christians across the world will be observing the 40-day season from now until Holy Thursday. That is April 2nd. Of course, all of this in preparation for Easter. So a lot of people in St. Peter's Square right now. By the way, you still got time to make those spring break plans. In fact, there's some new hacks to keep in mind before you book your next trip. Maybe you're going to Italy. Expedia released its 2026 Air Hacks. Few things that you can save money. First, if you're flying domestically, cheapest to fly on Tuesdays. If you're traveling internationally, try to leave on a Friday because you can get the lowest rate then. When it comes to booking these flights, Friday's the day to do it for the cheapest fares. If you're not sure when you want to travel, August is the cheapest month to fly internationally. It can save you close to 30% compared to flying in December, which is, of course, a very busy travel month. Well, the recent weather changes we've been seeing cause some trouble in northern Wisconsin. The ice caves on the Apostle Islands, they have been there since 2015. They're amazing to see. Get this, they reopened for the first time Monday, for the first time in close to 10 years' time. So they open on Monday, and then what they do Tuesday? They had to close again, all because of this impending storm that Joseph Dames has been telling you about. But those who did take advantage Monday say the opening day caves, they were worth the hype.
There's like little caves that you could walk through, and at the end there's a little light, and it's really cool.
There's so many caves that you can just go straight through from one cave to another cave, and it's just Narnia, like you're in a different world. It's amazing.
We got to go out and see it again. Yeah. It might be 10 years again before we see this again.
That's a possibility. Access to the caves, it's weather dependent. Biggest factors are long stretches of cold temperatures, calm winds, stable ice. Those conditions have become increasingly rare over the last few years. A local union is calling on Minnesotans to skip rent day in March. Why they're hoping it could put pressure on lawmakers to lend a helping hand for those impacted by the ice surge. And the pleas from a Hennepin County hospital, 2 lawmakers needing to help keep their doors open. The cuts having an impact on their bottom line.
watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. I'm AJ Hilton. Joseph Dames will have a look at your next weather forecast in a second. Want to start with state DFL housing leaders who will release a new housing stability plan today, nearly 2 months after the start of Operation Metro Surge. At the state level, they want $50 million in rental assistance, giving tenants additional time to seek assistance and to provide flexibility for tenants to avoid eviction by accessing community rental assistance. They're also asking to temporarily transition eviction court proceedings to virtual. The House Housing and Financial Committee is meeting today at 3 p.m. to go over said plan. Your next drive, for the most part, looks okay. There's only one incident that we are following. That's down in the Mendota Heights area. This is going to be on Highway 62. This is westbound. Traffic going toward the cities. Looks like one lane of traffic. It is, in fact, blocked this morning. Roads are a little wet depending on where you may be. But, Joseph, that's nothing compared to what we could get a taste of later.
Transition over to some snow. And we're already picking up on some of that with the radar right now this morning, but it's still just a little too warm around here. Temperatures in the 40s and upper 30s at this time. I think it's still going to take a little while, a better chance for snow as we head into the afternoon, though. Can't rule out maybe some light snow later this morning. Heavy snow is up to the north. I mean, treacherous conditions up there. Blizzard warning still in place. Wrap around cold air and more moisture is on the way. That means more snow for us later today. We'll discuss it at CBS News Minnesota at 7:30.
WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, new details from a couple who say their car was hit by ICE agents in Mankato.
And the new calls for an eviction moratorium as a crisis grows across Minnesota for renters.
Plus, schools concerned they may lose funding as some students are still not showing up to class out of fear.
And today, honoring the 3 Burnsville first responders killed. 2 years later, the memorial happening today.
Good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings on this Wednesday. We're streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Barrett Leone in for Heather Brown today. Thanks for joining us. Let's head outdoors. This is a live look. Oh, look at them. Playing in the snow.
That's fresh
sitting in the
snow,
snow.
too.
Yeah. This is up in Ely, Minnesota at the International Wolf Center. The wolves love the snow.
See, here's the thing,
Look at
Joseph.
that.
Like, that's the really, really nice shot of snow. That's the picturesque
The pretty
view.
shot.
We've also seen the other shot as far
Yeah.
as what this is doing on our roads, and that part, Joseph, is not necessarily pleasant, at least in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, the North Shore, I mean, through Duluth, all the way up to Grand Marais there. I mean, the road there is closed. Travel is not advised. Just treacherous conditions, I've been calling it, because it's been so windy. A lot of heavy snow, and visibility is really low there. But where the wolves are, looks quite nice, and I'm certain that they probably love it and they're enjoying it. Around here, it is still very wet, and we're starting to notice maybe a transition over to some snow to the west of us, though mainly just rain around here to kind of kick things off. First, though, I do want to revisit up north. There's Grand Marais to Silver Bay and extending down to the southwest. You could tap in and check out some of the snow plows that are running that 61 route there, and it just is so tough to actually see what's going on, and it just looks terrible. So, yeah, you want to be indoors for that. I'm hopeful for minimal power outages. They've already happened, though, so not feeling great about that. All that heavy snow and then the strong winds, it just makes things very tough. You can see the road right there all the way down to Duluth and extending up towards Crystal Bay. So at one point in time, that was closed. It looks like it could have been updated to travel just not advised. Either way, not advised, so I would just not do it because of the conditions there. 32-mile-per-hour wind gusts so far here in the cities that happened recently. 54 is a high wind gust so far in Marshall, and 66 miles per hour there going on in Duluth. All right, so that's one reason that is, very dangerous over there, and that's why they have the blizzard warning in place. That's extended there in that green color. What has changed is there's winter weather advisories now west of us that happened yesterday night, and so through the overnight hours, if you didn't get a chance to see that update, you can now. That is in place until 9 p.m., maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow in that location. What has changed overall with this system is it's coming down a little bit farther to the south than yesterday's weather models, which is going to lead to some higher snow totals, and the timing has kind of sped up a little bit, meaning instead of having this massive dry slot and not getting any sort of moisture till later today, it's arriving earlier, and we're already noticing that rain this morning. Forecast at noon calling for snow with temperatures already down to about freezing. We keep snow in the forecast all the way down to about Rochester there, with some moments where it's just going to dry up a little bit, and it's going to stick around, though, until we can get this whole system out of here, which is going to take until overnight. Everything lifts up north, and hopefully we'll see weaker conditions there along the lake, which I am expecting by Thursday morning. Here's a general idea of the snow totals. I believe we can get about 1 to 2 inches by the time we get to the evening commute, and then lower totals probably south and southwest, with higher totals there by the time we head into Thursday morning out from Wilmer to St. Cloud and up to the north there for areas of Hinckley. Here's a few other weather models just to confirm what's going on. They've all come up to about 1.5 inches to 3 inches, so I think we'll probably find our total right over that 2-inch mark, probably around the cities. There's another system Friday, but it appears to be too far to the east. I think we miss it at this point in time unless something changes. I'm going to leave a chance for some flurries in the forecast, though. We're down to 30 degrees there. Saturday at 28, Sunday at 25, Monday at 25, 3 days this weekend where it's cold, but by Tuesday, we're back up to 37.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Appreciate that update. Let's take a look at your next drive. 2 incidents that we're following. The newest one is up in the Coon Rapids area on Highway 10. This is eastbound, and this is not a position you want to be in. Looks like we got a car that's either stuck or in the middle of the road there. And if you look on the other side, you see two people standing off to the side of the road. That's not a good place to be either. So it looks like MnDOT's going to have to move that car. Auto's going to have to move that car. Do you see any flashers? I do see flashers on there, which is good. It's not crazy backing up traffic just yet, but if you are in Coon Rapids right now using Highway 10, watch out for this vehicle. If you get ready to leave, it could be there for a little bit of time. So, well, hopefully that's cleared here very soon. I also want to get you caught up on as far as other things that we are following in the metro. There was a crash that looks to be in the clearing stages down in the Mendota Heights area. That was on Highway 62. That looks to be clearing, which is good this morning. So the only thing that we're following your next drive really that's going to slow you down could be this incident. And if you're traveling up north, yikes, please be careful. But that is not good what you want to see. Someone who's out in their vehicle with traffic passing on them in a busy highway, please be safe. New this morning, we are working to learn more about a couple of late night incidents. Let's start in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah, here's the scene from last night. This is over at the AutoZone parking lot on Brooklyn Boulevard. This happened around 9 last night. As you can see, there were police on scene with canines investigating. And we have reached out to Brooklyn Park Police. We'll update you as soon as we learn more. We're also working to learn more about this police presence in North Loop. The Minneapolis Police Dashboard lists a call around 1:30 this morning for a possible stabbing. This is happening on 6th Avenue in Minneapolis. We're working to confirm what happened, and we've reached out to police. We'll update you as we learn details.
Let's take you down to the south part of Minnesota in Mankato because we're getting some details on an ICE vehicle crash where 2 observers tracking ICE activity say they were in the other car involved.
We followed him down all the way down Riverfront.
There were flashing lights.
Flashing lights. He went through red lights. I got all the way down here behind him. I got in front of him. I pulled down this street. I turned off. I stopped to try to block him, and he rammed into me.
This happened right next to Mankato's Public Safety Center and the fire station, as well as the police station. The city of Mankato released a statement regarding the incident, but didn't share any details aside from the damage to each car, and said both parties suffered minor injuries and declined medical transport. An independent journalist says she was covering a protest, but the federal government charged her with storming a church.
Georgia Fort pleaded not guilty yesterday. She's one of 9 people arrested and charged for a January protest at City's Church in St. Paul. They showed up after they say they found out the pastor there worked for ICE. Federal prosecutors argue she and others violated religious freedoms. Fort says she was practicing her First Amendment rights as a journalist.
As a journalist, I stand here today not only asking the world to help protect the press, but to continue fighting for me as long as this case takes.
In a new statement, the church pastor wrote that some in his congregation feared it was an active shooter when the protesters came in. He said, quote, "This was about provocation, intimidation, and spectacle. They were here to incite violence."
Today, community members and mutual aid organizers are calling for it as they say crisis grows across the state from the ICE surge. They plan to share stories to highlight how neighbors have shown up to care for each other through mutual aid efforts. They're also calling on Governor Walz to use his authority to enact an eviction moratorium and on legislative leaders to deliver substantial rental relief and extend the pre-eviction notice period from 14 days to 30 days. This action organized as part of an eviction moratorium week of action. The meeting is happening this morning at 9:30 at the state capitol. According to the office of Governor Tim Walz, the governor does not currently have legal authority to enact an eviction moratorium.
And as there are calls for that eviction moratorium, we're tracking the impact of Operation Metro Surge. The University of Minnesota estimates people owe tens of millions of dollars in rent, and a local tenants union is urging everyone not to pay rent next month. On Tuesday, labor and tenant unions say they announced a rent strike drive ahead of March 1st. Nonprofit Twin Cities tenants are leading the charge, hoping for 10,000 Twin Cities renters to join them. All of this in support of those who have not been leaving home during Operation Metro Surge. One renter who says he won't be paying rent says he's doing it to represent the interests of our most vulnerable populations.
If there were 10,000 evictions filed in tenant court, that would muck up the courts into making that process so slow, they would never get to me.
The same day unions announced the upcoming strike, University of Minnesota released data showing, quote, excess statewide rent debt linked to the operation reached between $27 and $51 million. It's a number on top of the $446 million in rent debt typically expected during any two-month period. Happening today, a Senate committee hearing on top of the impact of Operation Metro Surge, the surge in schools. The Senate Education Committee will hear from school board members, superintendents, parents, teachers, and staff. All will talk about how the ICE surge impacted day-to-day school operations, attendance records, student mental health, and more. The Senate Education Committee hearing happening at 8:30 this morning.
Today's hearing comes as Minnesota school districts are still missing students as fear of ICE continue. And missing students means these schools could start losing funding. On Tuesday, monitors patrolling the streets around Columbia Heights Public Schools reported seeing 3 agents. With agents still around the school, it's down about 130 students, according to the Columbia Heights superintendent. That would equate to a loss of about $2 million in expected funding for the next school year.
There's a child that we have right now who's detained in the Dilley Detention Center. We just simply could not locate her, and it turns out she had been taken.
Columbia Heights is among a number of the metro area school districts that will testify today.
Hit the moment where it is the final buck.
Critical condition. That's how a county official described the state of Hennepin healthcare finances 6 months ago. Now, as Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us, the fight to save the hospital means taking fewer patients.
3, 2, 1, and go.
This is a patient getting therapy at Hennepin Healthcare, HCMC.
What day of the week is it today?
It's Wednesday. It's a place Sarah Stevenson was rushed to after getting hit by a car and nearly losing her life.
Do you feel like this is a miracle?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Trauma care is what this hospital is known for, as well as the burn unit and hyperbaric chamber. Those services will continue, but things here are changing. They cut bed capacity by 100.
I think what you're going to see, not just Hennepin healthcare systems, but hospitals all over, is like the idea of all of us doing everything. Those days are numbered.
The county, who took control of the hospital from community volunteers because of growing budget questions, is cutting these 5 departments. Departments WCCO has been in over the years, like the sleep lab.
People suddenly awaken with this involuntary muscle contraction.
What we like to say is that it's nutrient dense. There's a lot of patients who see the headlines, oh no, my doctor's not there, my department's cut. What do you say to that?
What's the worst hospital of all? It's the one that's closed. So if we don't make these changes, there's something else that might happen.
Why cut those departments?
I think it's really about cost. If things aren't making money.
The reason for the pinch, Lundy says, it was budget confusion, a $1 billion Medicaid funding cut, and the demise of UCare, which he says owes over $100 million.
So the county says about 40% of the patients that come here are from outside of Hennepin County, but 100% of the debt has been on the Hennepin County taxpayers' shoulders. So they have an idea.
To make up the money, the hope is the legislature will allow them to have a sales tax increase at Target Field. That, they say, would help them help others.
People get, oh, we got to do this. Can we do next session? If at the end of the session we do not get that sales tax, we're going to have to make some very tough choices, including potentially closing the hospital.
With photojournalist Will Greiner, Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News.
Another reason for the hospital's debt, they say there are safety net hospital for people who do not have insurance.
Today marks 2 years since 3 first responders were killed in the city of Burnsville. Police officers Paul Elmstrand, Matthew Ruge, and firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth made the ultimate sacrifice during a standoff. And to honor all 3 lives lost, there will be a display of 3 wreaths that's taking place at City Hall in Burnsville. This was earlier this morning. The wreaths will stay up for 24 hours. Community members are invited to pay their respects. You may also notice that all city facilities lit up in blue and red during the overnight hours, so you could see it tonight too. The city flag will fly at half-mast throughout the day as well.
Lots of people enjoy remote work because they don't have to be in office.
Clearly, but there are also scams going around, and guess what? You need to know about them because you can fall for them too. What to watch out for if you're hitting apply.
In your money this morning, remote job scams are on the rise, with con artists luring victims with promises of easy cash for simple tasks. Bonnie Herring fell victim after accepting a part-time remote gig to approve pre-written positive hotel reviews for a commission. The Pennsylvania retiree would first have to deposit $100 of her own money, with larger deposits later requested for bigger commissions. Just a matter of days, she says she handed over more than $221,000 of her life savings to a fake company.
I go to cash out and they tell me that because I'm a level 1, that a level 1 person can only withdraw so much money. So I had to be bumped up to another level, which costs money.
Herring says the FBI told her it's highly unlikely she'll ever get her money back. The Federal Trade Commission warns job seekers to never pay someone to get paid or to get a job. Next month, the boss is coming to Minnesota for a stop on his latest tour.
Down Nicollet Avenue, the city of flame, for fire and ice, 'neath an occupier's boots.
That's Bruce Springsteen playing his song, Streets of Minneapolis. He performed the song during a show here at First Avenue back on January 30th. Springsteen and the E Street Band will be here in Minneapolis on March 31st. They'll play at Target Center as part of the Land of Hope and Dreams American Tour. The 20-date run will feature 19 arena shows and an outdoor show in Washington, D.C. to end the tour. You can grab your tickets to the show starting this Friday. It's a big day for outdoor enthusiasts in Northwest Wisconsin. Events for the 2026 Lumber Band American Berkey begin today in Hayward and Cable. Here's a live look at the American Berkey Trailhead in Cable, Wisconsin. You can see the falling snow already. The open track race set for today have been postponed to tomorrow due to the storm hitting the area. Now that means the family fun events set for downtown Hayward tomorrow will now move here. Those races include the Junior Berkey and Barkey Berkey, where people can race with their dog. Berkey Fun continues the rest of the week with the classics and skate races. Distances range from 15K to the full 50K race. Thousands of skiers come from all over the country to participate in this Wisconsin winter staple. All right, here's a live look downtown Minneapolis. It's gray out there. The next weather tower is shining green. It's quiet here in the metro, Joseph, but a lot is going on in other parts of the state. Let's check in with him.
Busy weather day for us for Wednesday. It was warm overnight. We had rain move on through, and we're going to keep temperatures maybe in the lower 40s for a little while this morning before we fall down into the 30s. You can see that happening through the course of the morning hours. And by the time we get to lunchtime, it's quite possible we're going to be near freezing, and that is when our chance for some snow starts to move on in, and it will be pretty steady on and off through the afternoon and evening. Here's an idea of the snow potential around here.
Thank you, Joseph. It's looking a little wet in the metro here. Your next drive is overall looking pretty good, but you can see on your screen there, it's wet out there, but not tracking anything major that's going to slow you down this morning. The time 7:51, but just be aware of some of that moisture coming down as you head out the door. And as always, we will continue to keep you up to date on the latest news and weather developments all day here on the stream. We'll be back with more headlines after a quick break.
watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Barrett Leone. Joseph Dames will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, happening today, a press conference on potential mining near the Boundary Waters. Save the Boundary Waters will hold the conference ahead of a vote to overturn a 20-year mining withdrawal. The resolution aims to use the Congressional Review Act to revoke the public land order. If passed, this resolution will allow the Trump administration to fast-track a foreign-owned sulfide ore copper mining project proven to be a raw deal for Minnesotans and Americans. Let's take a look at your next drive. Overall, it's looking pretty good across the metro. Things are picking up just a bit. Normal traffic. The time is 7:56. I do want to take you out to the Golden Valley area, though. Oh, excuse me. This is up in Maple Grove. This is 94 at Weaver Lake Road. You can see it's a little wet out there, even a drop on our screen, but traffic moving along nicely. You can also see that wind at times shake that camera, Joseph.
Yeah, it's been the story this morning. Rain, it's been windy, the roads are wet, but you'll notice in that camera view there, no snow on the ground. We melted it off and the rain did the rest, though we do have some snow in the forecast today. Still dealing with some light rain. Radar's trying to say it's going over to snow. I don't see that happening yet, more so late morning into the afternoon. I'll leave you here with the satellite and radar. We have updates at CBS News Minnesota at 8 a.m. at 9 a.m. here.
This is WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, an emotional day at the Minnesota State Capitol. The tributes after last summer's attack on lawmakers. Then, the new information we're learning this morning about a man who says he was beaten by ICE agents. Plus, the housing help state Democrats are hoping to give to people who are struggling during Operation Metro Surge. And later, the effort to save the Boundary Waters from mining. Why those who live up there say a vote for mining cannot pass. Good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're live on air on our free streaming channel each weekday on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Let's get to your top headlines this morning. What a night for weather up in northern Minnesota. Check out this video from Duluth. It was just after 10:20 last night. Thunder snow and lightning amid all of that snow falling up there. Joseph has been talking about the storm all week, and boy, is it coming down for folks up north. Here's a live look, though, here in Minneapolis, where we're not seeing any snow down here, just some rain from overnight. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Yeah, we had a good amount. We had 1/4 of an inch overnight from about midnight to 2:30, and then we've had some steady rain on and off here through the morning hours. So it's been pretty wet outside, and that will be the start of your morning. We're not going to transition over to snow for a little while. I still don't think that's going to happen until more so closer to lunchtime, though. Radar's picking up on some of that down to the southwest. Everything that I've seen around here so far has been rain. It's just been a little too warm, though I have noticed that our temperature has come down about 3 or 4 degrees over the last 2 hours. All the heavy snow is up north. You saw that video. That was thunder snow. We don't get that very often, but comparable. The situation's comparable to a thunderstorm in the summer. It's just much colder, and we're still getting that energy. We're getting that convection led to lightning. Heavy snow rates still, very, very windy. Blizzard warnings remain up north. Travel not advised. If you just go online, pull up one of the cameras from up on the North Shore. It is a very, very treacherous scene there. Colder air seeping on in, and we are anticipating snow to eventually pick up as we go into this afternoon. Late morning is possible. I want to show you that next drive really quickly, though. You'll notice that we have some areas up north there where that travel is not advised, or it's just, dangerous and the roads are full of snow. So just go slower if you have to get out today up north. For us, you're still good for now. Wet roads to begin the day. It's 37 degrees. Next weather tower is green because we're expecting snow this afternoon. I mentioned about 1/4 of an inch last night. There you go. A little more over in St. Cloud, but that was before it was cold enough for snow. Now whatever we get basically this afternoon is going to be in the form of snow. The day plan is trying to pick up on that, maybe even as early as mid to late morning. I still don't think our snow chance is going to ramp up, though, till closer to lunchtime, and then it'll be more steady heading into the afternoon as temperatures pull down to about 33 degrees. You can see all the winter alerts, and this is new. All right, this is breaking right here that we now have a winter weather advisory here in the cities. 1 to 2 inches of snow probably by the evening commute, making things pretty slippery, and some isolated spots a little more than that. We'll discuss this full forecast, though, when it's going to be in, when it's going to be out, when our next system will arrive. We'll do all of that coming up at 8:30.
All right, Joseph, thanks. Checking out your next drive now, we're looking at a couple of incidents. That one over on the left of your screen, left of the Metro Relay area, it's looking all right, but I want to take you downtown where we're looking at 694 in the westbound lane. You can see traffic is picking up, but that's normal for this time of the day, 8:04 on your Wednesday morning. The Minnesota legislative session began yesterday, but this year the first day had a very different tone and different priorities. It was the first day of session back since the deadly lawmaker attacks over the summer that killed former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. Lawmakers put official business to the side, and they spent the day paying tribute. They shared reflections about their lives and legacies while making appeals to bridge partisan divides.
The way you honor Melissa and Mark is how we conduct ourselves afterwards. It's one thing to be reflective to the past and to tell stories of the past. It's another to what did we learn from that.
Every detail was carefully picked out to commemorate Melissa Hortman, like the therapy dogs at the Capitol, the Hortmans trained service dogs. There were also seed packets for lawmakers and guests to plant flowers since Melissa Hortman loved to garden. And they had a reception with cake and bread, which was the couple's favorite treats to bake. Even the opening prayer was selected for a reason. It was from St. Francis of Assisi, who Hortman kept on a card in her wallet. As for the Senate's first day back, there was a warm welcome for another victim of those lawmaker attacks as well. State Senator John Hoffman was met with roaring applause upon his return. He and his wife Yvette were also attacked in their home the night that the Hortmans were as well. A powerful moment as Hoffman walked up the stage and through the doors, a goal he had set for himself while recovering in the ICU.
I return changed, Mr. President, but not deterred. More convinced than ever that the leadership is measured not by how we respond when everything is going right, but how we respond in our hardest hours. Members, let's rise above the noise and let us govern with humility.
As for day 2, it's back to work with full agenda for lawmakers. The focus for today is expected to be largely centered around the impact of the ice surge in Minnesota. Democrats are planning to introduce a number of bills to address concerns related to the federal immigration operation. And those will cover hot-button issues like ICE agents' access to schools and rental assistance for those impacted by ICE operations. Republicans are also introducing bills to protect public safety officers' personal information and to stop protests outside of someone's home. We'll continue to bring you the latest right here on WCCO. New this morning, Minnesota and federal authorities are investigating the alleged beating of a Mexican citizen by immigration officers. We told you about this case back in January, where Alberto Castaneda Mondragon suffered from 8 skull fractures. Now, investigators are working to learn how that happened. St. Paul police and FBI investigators canvassed the shopping center, that parking lot where Castaneda Mondragon says ICE agents repeatedly hit him in the head with a steel baton. ICE, meanwhile, blames the man for his injuries, saying he attempted to flee while handcuffed and hit his head against a concrete wall. But hospital staff who cared for Castaneda Mondragon said to the Associated Press that a fall like that couldn't account for the injuries he has. Happening today, state DFL housing leaders will release a new plan more than 2 months into Operation Metro Surge. At the federal level, they're asking for President Trump to end the ICE surge, even as federal leaders have already announced it is ending. At the state and local levels, there's much more they want done. For the state, they want $50 million in rental assistance, to give tenants additional time to seek assistance, and to provide flexibility for tenants to avoid eviction by accessing community rental assistance. They're also asking to temporarily transition eviction court proceedings to virtual. They're also supporting local-driven solutions to keep Minnesotans safe and stable. And they're encouraging Minnesotans and businesses to continue to support their neighbors. The House Housing and Financial Committee is meeting today to go over this plan. That's at 3 p.m. And happening later today, Minnesotans will hold a Capitol rally, a march, and legislative visits for accountability and economic recovery in the wake of the ICE surge. People will be calling on state leadership to account for what they're calling inaction during the ICE surge from the Trump administration. They will issue demands to help the state, communities, and businesses recover. The rally is happening this afternoon from 1:10 to 1:45 at the Capitol Rotunda. Then the march is planned for outside the Capitol complex right after. A highly anticipated press conference is set for today on the future of mining near the Boundary Waters. Save the Boundary Waters will hold the conference ahead of a vote to overturn a 20-year mining withdrawal. The resolution aims to use the Congressional Review Act to revoke a public land order. The order protects more than 225,000 acres of federal land in the headwaters of the Boundary Waters and the Voyager National Park from sulfide ore copper mining for 20 years. If passed, this resolution will allow the Trump administration to fast-track a foreign-owned sulfide ore copper mining project proven to be a raw deal for Minnesotans and Americans. We have new details this morning about the future of a Minnesota lake that lost all its water. Remember that odd sight from last summer? Look at that. That's Lake Alice, drained by accident. The Minnesota DNR says it was a mechanical issue. The lake sits inside William O'Brien State Park, northeast of the Twin Cities. At the time, crews were trying to get rid of extra water from some heavy rain. Now, months later, the DNR said it will replace the old structure that controls the water level. That work is expected to last until fall of next year. The lake is off limits until then. It's crunch time for one Wisconsin town, having to battle the weather to keep a treasured winter event alive. The last-minute changes to Berkey Week. Plus, we're gearing up for a new season of soccer with the Minnesota Aurora. And if you're thinking of buying season tickets, there's a new reason to do it right now. We'll tell you why. Sports is next. Welcome back. A big day for outdoor enthusiasts in northern Wisconsin. Events for the 2026 Lumberland American Birkebeiner begin today in Hayward and Cable. Here's a live look at the American Birkebeiner Trailhead in Cable, Wisconsin. You can see fresh snow falling here, and this open track race is set for today, but they have actually been postponed for tomorrow because of the storm hitting the area. So that means the family fun events planned in downtown Hayward tomorrow will now move here to Cable. Those races include the Junior Birkie and the Barky Birkie, where people race with their dog. Birkie fun continues the rest of the week with the classic and skate races. Distances range from 15K to the full 50K race. Thousands of skiers come from all over the country to participate in this Wisconsin winter staple. It's not unusual for a coach to start seniors on senior night, and it's certainly not unusual for a coach to give his son playing time. But it was a little bit of a different story on Monday for Hayfield's Chad Pack and his very popular son, Seth. Mike Mack explains.
Hayfield has won the state championship.
Chris Pack's tenure at Hayfield High School is now 26 years, with 2 state titles as the high water mark.
It's just been a blast. I've thoroughly enjoyed coaching basketball.
He and his wife raised a family here, a daughter and 3 sons. The third in line is named Seth. and he has Down syndrome.
We didn't know ahead of time that he was going to have Down syndrome. So when he was first born, it was news to us. So it was kind of a shock right away. And, these last 18 years have just been a blessing for us. And he's just a great kid with a lot of life.
Like his family, Seth grew up with a love for the game of basketball. You really like basketball, don't you?
Yeah, I did.
And so he's been on the team at Hayfield, often lobbying his father and coach for more playing time.
Yeah, he's someone that he's always asking to, can he start? Can he play? He's always bugging me during games. It'll be a close game, and he'll ask if he can go in. And it's hard sometimes to say no.
But on senior night, and with just 5 seniors on the team, he was given a ceremonial start, with everyone cheering because everyone seems to love Seth.
Everybody loves him. He loves everybody, not just from Hayfield, but in the whole area. He knows all the other team's players and coaches and officials.
And with the game decided, Seth was reinserted and given instructions from his coach.
Either a three-pointer, that corner.
It said to get to the corner, yeah.
Yes.
And make one.
Yeah.
And with that came a memory for everyone.
When he made the one, the place went nuts. And just the joy not only for him and his teammates and our fans, but the other team and coach.
Quite a night for a coach and a father, even one who has won 2 state titles.
Super proud last night for him to have that moment where, he was the star. For me personally, obviously the state tournaments mean a lot, the state championships, but last night ranks right up there just as a proud dad.
And when the basketball season ends, Seth will switch over to his next sport, bowling. Well, it was already being painted as a pessimistic picture for the upcoming Twins season, and now you can add even more of that before the season even starts. Pablo Lopez, this week in spring training, well, at some point he felt pain in his right elbow. That's his throwing arm. Indications are it's a UCL injury, meaning a tear. And that means he'll miss the whole season. The Twins are seeking a second opinion, but Mike Mack says seldom are initial diagnoses wrong on these injuries. It's Wednesday, which means you can tune in to a new episode of the WCCO podcast, Women in Sports. Our Marielle Mose caught up with Zara Hassoun. That's the president of Minnesota Aurora. This will be her first season leading the club. She left her job in the Women's Pro League with Gotham FC to join Aurora, a pre-professional club. She says what drew her to Aurora is the team's compassion for the community they're a part of.
As we kind of roll into our 5th anniversary season, right, we want to celebrate Aurora. We want to celebrate everything this club stands for. We want to celebrate the community that brought us here and the community that is the reason that everybody in the U.S. and abroad knows who Aurora is. It's this community ownership model that makes us special. And what's happening in our community right now, particularly with our immigrant community in the Twin Cities, is really near and dear to our heart. So we, thanks to our fantastic partner, Nate Pence and Pence Homes, for every season ticket sold in 2026, $5 is going to the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota.
And there's a reason we're talking about soccer so early. The Aurora season ticket schedule is out and tickets are for sale. Catch that conversation on this week's Women in Sports podcast episode. You'll find it wherever you get your podcasts. The Breck Mustangs had a nearly perfect regular season record for this girls' hockey season. 25 wins under-earned them to the number 2 seed in a single Class A. WCCO's Marielle Mose caught up with the team ahead of their first state tournament game night.
2 things cemented the section championship for Breck against West Tonka South Christian last week. An unstoppable offense like sophomore McKenna Schliemann's 3rd period goal, putting the Mustangs up 3-0. And a goalie who stopped everything. Clara Milinkovic, only a freshman, getting the shutout.
It's unreal, and all the work we've put into it is finally paid off, and it's just, I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
2 years in a row we lost in the semis, but now knowing that we're actually in the state tournament it feels amazing.
This young team of 13 underclassmen are proving they're a dominant force. It's something that excites head coach Trisha Luma, who is leading the squad to the state tournament for the first time in her 5 years at the helm.
They're just so dialed in and so committed, and so it's just so fun
to come to the rink every day.
Preparing for the pressure of playing at state, Coach Luma is a guiding light for this moment as a former women's hockey Olympian with Team USA between 1998 and 2006.
It's the same 200 by 85-foot rink you've played games on or practiced on since you were 4 or 5. It's just another game.
The Mustangs hope this is just the beginning of many more trips to St. Paul in the postseason.
We're such a good program now, and we deserve the respect.
In Golden Valley, Marielle Mose, WCCO Sports.
Coming up, another update on the weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Then, a local union is calling on Minnesotans to skip rent in March. Why they're hoping it could put pressure on lawmakers to lend a helping hand for those impacted by the ice surge. Plus, it's now been 18 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing. The new updates about the evidence found at her home and why investigators think it could be significant.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Joseph Dames will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, state DFL housing leaders will release a new housing stability plan today, more than 2 months after the start of Operation Metro Surge. At the state level, they want $50 million in rental assistance to give tenants additional time to seek assistance and to provide flexibility for tenants to avoid eviction by accessing community rental assistance. They're also asking to temporarily transition eviction court proceedings to virtual. The House Housing and Finance Committee is meeting today to go over the plan at 3 p.m. Here are some other things we're expecting to be discussed today. Day 2 of the legislative session. A large focus will be on the impact of the ice surge in Minnesota. Republicans are introducing bills to protect public safety officers' personal information and to stop protests outside of someone's home. We'll continue to bring you the latest right here on WCCO. Let's check out your next drive right now. Taking you all the way up to Duluth, where, oh boy, they had a lot of snow overnight. Not quite the same here in the Twin Cities, taking you to the near Medicine Lake, where you can see no snow on the ground. It's quite windy, though. We had a lot of rain. But Joseph Dames, that could be changing here in the metro.
Oh, that definitely can. You can see on the satellite and radar right now, as I want to give you a full view here, that we have snow and rain coming through. Now, I will say this, a lot of the snow right here over towards the west, I've been checking out the cameras. A lot of that's not reaching the surface. This is still rain, but as conditions cool on down, and it will through the course of this morning, our likelihood of seeing some snow picking up is pretty high for us. If not this morning, we'll get it this afternoon, but up north, it is really, really treacherous there along the North Shore with 20s there in the forecast right now, and it won't get much warmer than that. Okay, this afternoon, we have that shot for snow. We have a winter weather advisory now in place. I'll tell you more about that coming up at 8:30.
This is WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, the new calls for an eviction moratorium as the crisis grows across Minnesota for renters. Then schools concerned they may lose funding as some students are still not showing up to class out of fear. Plus, a local union is calling for thousands to hold back on rent next month, the message they're hoping it could send. And later, new details from a couple who say their car was hit by ICE agents in Mankato. Good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings, streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Thanks for joining us. I want to take you live up to Duluth, the iconic lighthouse up there where you can see snow is coming down. They've had blizzard conditions overnight, and not the same here in the metro, but that could be on the way. Snow at least. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Yeah, definitely on the way. We're going to get to some snow as we kind of get to probably late morning through about midday and lunchtime. Blizzard conditions remain up north. I mean, just seeing any of the views coming from the North Shore, it is so extreme right now. Heavy snow from that lake effect snow, some very strong wind, low visibility. I mean, it's just treacherous up there, and travel is not advised. At one point in time, Highway 61 up there was closed, and you could tap in and actually see the snow plows there, and it is just like one of those views where it's really hard to process everything unless you're probably there. And so that's just something, yeah, that you might enjoy to go check out. Winter alerts, though, until 9 p.m. What does that mean? That's for us here locally. I want to be honest with you. Some of these alerts up north there are until tomorrow morning. I put until 9 p.m. because I'm doing the zoom in here, and these are all the counties that now have a winter weather advisory near our house and near our homes here nearby through the metro area now until 9 p.m. It was once Stearns County, Meeker County, Candy-Yohai County. It has been expanded out, and this just recently happened over the last half an hour or so into areas even just close to the border of Wisconsin. All right, not up north because the course of this low pressure that's going to move on through is going to likely leave some drier conditions just to the north of us, or just lighter snow in general. So that's why there's no advisories for areas like Anoka County and into our counties just up to the northwest there for like Sherburne County. That snow is eventually going to move on in. You see how it's kind of tailing around all the way down to the south, and then it's kind of pulling back up to the northeast here. That will be consistent through the morning hours until this whole system shifts a little bit farther to the east. So eventually we'll transition that rain over to snow as our temperatures cool down, and at our station it is now 35 degrees. It's cooling down pretty quickly, so there's a good chance that by the time we get to mid to late morning, we have some snow coming down. Here's up north. It is still going, and the flow is coming off the lake, all right? So that's why we were going with very high snow totals, because the enhancement of lake effect snow there, but it's also very wet, and it's going to be compressed down, but the snow totals up there are going to be massive, and the scene up there is going to be quite something. Roads around here are just wet. By this evening, when you're going home, or wherever you're going this afternoon and evening, probably snowy and slippery. So there's going to be a changeover, and I want you to be ready for it. I want to take us up to the northeast, though. This is where travel is not advised, from Grand Marais to Two Harbors to Duluth there, and extending into areas like Crystal Bay. If you were going to go to Lutsen, there's going to be a lot of fresh snow up there, very wet, heavy snow, and that might be exciting coming up, but for today, not a good day, all right? 66-mile-per-hour wind gusts over in Duluth already, 32 for the cities, and we've had 50s and 40s there down to the southwest where there's wind advisories and high wind warnings in place. All right, we have a forecast now. This is going to take us into the afternoon. You can see that wraparound snow. Notice just to the north of us, kind of that gap. That's why there's no alerts in those locations. We take it into the evening, it's still there. And so I think just between the availability of longer snow going on through the day today is one reason for the now winter weather advisories, and two, just the snow totals coming up in general because of how long the duration is going to be now. Okay, yesterday weather miles didn't have snow picking up until later in the day, and it was much farther north. Now it's happening earlier, and we're going to sustain that throughout the day. That's why we're probably getting those advisories. All right, Thursday night, 7 p.m., pretty quiet. We have another system down to the southeast. There it is. And it misses us, all right? I don't think we're going to get much for that second round of snow we were anticipating. I think it stays south and east of us now. I'm going with 30 degrees on Friday. So one thing is certain, after the snow, it will cool down. We're in the 20s there, Maria, by Saturday. No longer in the 50s. It was so nice, but at least we dry up. We have sun in the future. And then we also get back to the 30s pretty quickly as early as Tuesday.
Oh, it was so nice.
It was.
All right,
Yeah.
We get it. It's still February. It is a Wednesday, meaning roads are picking up traffic-wise this time of the day, but that incident over on the west side of the metro, not there anymore, as you see. Taking you up to the Fridley area, you can see on 694 in the westbound lane, pretty typical traffic this time of the day. No other incidents to tell you about this morning. Right now, we're working to get more information on a couple late night incidents. First, in Brooklyn Park. Here's the scene from last night. This is over at the AutoZone parking lot on Brooklyn Boulevard. Brooklyn Park police say an employee was shot and taken to the hospital in critical condition. This happened around 9 last night. As you can see, police were on the scene with K-9s investigating, and police are still searching for the shooter. We're also working to learn more about this police presence in North Loop. The Minneapolis Police dashboard lists a call around 1:30 this morning for a possible stabbing on 6th Avenue in Minneapolis. We're working to confirm what happened, and we have reached out to police. We'll update you as we learn new details. In Mankato, we're getting details on an ICE vehicle crash where 2 observers tracking ICE activity say they were in the other car involved.
We followed him down all the way down Riverfront.
There were flashing lights.
Flashing lights. He went through red lights. I got all the way down here behind him. I got in front of him. I pulled down this street. I turned off. I stopped to try to block him, and he rammed into me.
It happened right next to Mankato's Public Safety Center, the fire station, and the police station. The city of Mankato released a statement regarding the incident, but didn't share any details aside from the damage to each car, and said both parties suffered minor injuries and declined medical transport. An independent journalist says she was covering a protest, but the federal government charged her with storming a church. Georgia Fort pleaded not guilty Tuesday. She is one of 9 people arrested and charged for a January protest at City's Church in St. Paul. They showed up after they say they found out a pastor there works for ICE. Federal prosecutors argue she and others violated religious freedoms. Fort says she was practicing her First Amendment right as a journalist.
As a journalist, I stand here today not only asking the world to help protect the press, but to continue fighting for me as long as this case takes.
In a new statement, the church pastor wrote that some in his congregation feared it was an active shooter when protesters came in. He said, quote, "This was about provocation, intimidation, and spectacle. They were here to incite violence." Today, community leaders and mutual aid organizers are calling for an eviction moratorium as they say crisis grows across the state from the ICE surge. They plan to share stories to highlight how neighbors have shown up to care for each other through mutual aid efforts. They're also calling on Governor Walz to use his authority to enact an eviction moratorium and on legislative leaders to deliver substantial rental relief and extend the pre-eviction notice period from 14 to 30 days. This is part of Eviction Moratorium Week of Action. The meeting is happening this morning at 9:30 at the state capitol. According to the office of Governor Tim Walz, the governor does not currently have legal authority to enact an eviction moratorium. Now, as there are calls for that eviction moratorium, we're tracking the impact of Operation Metro Surge. The University of Minnesota estimates people owe tens of millions of dollars in rent, and a local tenants unit is urging everyone to not pay rent next month. On Tuesday, labor and tenant unions announced a rent strike drive ahead of March 1st. Nonprofit Twin Cities tenants are leading the charge, hoping for 10,000 Twin Cities renters to join them. This is all in support of those who haven't been able to leave their homes during Operation Metro Surge. One renter who says he won't be paying rent says he's doing it to represent the interests of our most vulnerable populations.
If there were 10,000 evictions filed in tenant court, that would muck up the courts into making that process so slow, they would never get to me.
The same day unions announced the upcoming strike, the University of Minnesota released data showing excess statewide rent debt linked to the operation reached between $27.4 million and $51.3 million. It's a number on top of the $446.6 million in rent debt typically expected during any 2-month period. Happening today, a Senate committee hearing on the impact of Operation Metro surge in schools. The Senate Education Committee will hear from school board members, superintendents, parents, teachers, and staff. They'll talk about how the ICE surge impacted day-to-day school operations, attendance records, student mental health, and more. The Senate Education Committee hearing is happening this morning at 8:30. It started just 10 minutes ago. And today's hearing comes as Minnesota school districts are still missing students as fears of ICE continues. And missing students means these schools could start losing funding. On Tuesday, monitors patrolling the streets around Columbia Heights Public Schools reported seeing 3 agents. With agents still around, the school is down about 130 students, according to the Columbia Heights superintendent. That would equate to a loss of about $2 million in expected funding for the next school year.
There's a child that we have right now who's detained in the Dilley Detention Center. We just simply could not locate her, and it turns out she had been taken.
Columbia Heights is among a number of metro area school districts that will testify today. And speaking of schools, a unique partnership in St. Paul is giving culinary students a rare look behind the kitchen doors. Derek James gives us a taste.
In the catering kitchen at St. Paul River Center, the pace is brisk. Desserts are topped off as salads come together along a conveyor belt through steady hands. For Amani Levon, it's more than a class.
I love to cook, and I love to put a smile on people's faces when I make meals for them. This was a dream and a goal for me growing up.
This week, students of color from St. Paul College are stepping behind the scenes, cooking, plating salads, entrees, and desserts, serving 2,000 people in under 2 hours. It's immersive, it's demanding, and it's a lot of chicken.
The chicken.
What about the chicken?
Oh my God. We had to do so many. Take them all out the box, put them on the grill. I was like, I'm chickened out. I don't want no chicken. Don't ask me for no chicken.
Oh, they look pretty for a garnish.
Jessica Bromer says that intensity is what makes it meaningful.
And it's been a long time since something made me excited. Being able to come in and work with these chefs and really just get that experience and get that culture mindset, see what it's like, you know, kind of trial by fire. It's really valuable, I think.
The students are learning from chefs with Morrissey Hospitality, gaining back-of-house experience many may not otherwise access. The partnership is intentional.
For them to come in and get the experience and learn how our company operates, it gives them a little bit of a boost for the future.
The short-term program, supported by the Minnesota Training Partnership, is designed to fast-track students into jobs.
All these people coming together are here to support these students, get them into good culinary jobs quickly, within just a matter of a couple of months.
Morrissey Hospitality hired 2 cooks from the St. Paul College program last year, and another 3 were hired at the St. Paul Hotel. And they likely won't be the last, because in a kitchen where 2,000 plates await, opportunity is being served alongside the food. In St. Paul, with photojournalist Louis Carpel, Derek James, WCCO News.
Those look delicious. Coming up, we have another update on the weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Then, a giant in the world of social media. Mark Zuckerberg is no stranger to getting grilled over his products. Why his testimony today will be different from the other hearings you've seen him in before. It's now day 18 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. And we're getting updates about a glove found near her home. Law enforcement officials say DNA collected from that glove turned up with no matches in the FBI's national database and did not match the DNA found in the house. So now the sheriff says they're turning to commercial genealogy databases. Investigators are also looking into gun purchases in the area as they continue to try to find the masked and armed suspect seen in that doorbell camera footage. Another piece of evidence, the suspect's backpack, which is exclusively sold at Walmart.
That might be the only piece of evidence that shows up that can put 2 and 2 together. It could be very significant.
Pima County Sheriff says Walmart has handed over purchase records with names, and Facebook parent company Meta tells CBS it has offered authorities any assistance as the search continues. U.S. Capitol Police arrested an 18-year-old man in D.C. accused of running toward the Capitol building with a gun. This happened yesterday when police say he took off from his car armed. According to police, the man wore a tactical vest and gloves. He also had a Kevlar helmet and a gas mask in his car. At this time, the man's intended target is not clear, but it's under investigation. Authorities in Rhode Island have identified the shooter who opened fire at an ice rink, 56-year-old Robert Dorgan, who also went by the name Roberta Esposito, shot and killed his ex-wife and adult son in the stands before being stopped by a Good Samaritan and turning the gun on himself. 3 more people were critically wounded in the attack. This was at a high school hockey game on Monday. Happening today, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to face what could be his most critical audience yet. He's expected to testify in Los Angeles in a lawsuit brought by a woman and her mother who say social media sites like Instagram and YouTube use purposefully designed features to hook young users. The now 20-year-old woman says she became addicted as a child and it harmed her mental health. 2 years ago, Zuckerberg apologized to grieving parents who claimed social media contributed to their children's deaths. This time, the social media CEO will need to convince a jury. There are more than 1,500 similar lawsuits, so this is the first to go to trial. 8:50 right now. This is a live look up in Grand Marais. You can't see much because it is whiteout conditions up on the North Shore. Blizzard conditions there. And if we look here in Minneapolis, in the metro area, things aren't looking as bad, but it could get bad soon. We check in now with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Busy weather day for us for Wednesday. It was warm overnight. We had rain move on through, and we're going to keep temperatures maybe in the lower 40s for a little while this morning before we fall down into the 30s. You can see that happening through the course of the morning hours. And by the time we get to lunchtime, it's quite possible we're going to be near freezing, and that is when our chance for some snow starts to move on in, and it will be pretty steady on and off through the afternoon and evening. Here's an idea of the snow potential around here.
As always, we'll keep you up to date on the latest news and weather developments all day here on The Stream. A community-led initiative is asking people to support Minnesota restaurants today. The Salt Cure Fund is a new recovery fund formed in response to Operation Metro Surge. They aim to support Minnesota's hospitality industry. Today, they're hosting a National Day of Giving, hoping to raise $1 million. People can donate, but they're also asking restaurants nationwide to donate a portion of proceeds from today. Money will then be given to restaurants in need. And coming up today on Mid-Morning at 9, you don't need to be an Olympian to try curling. We bring it to you without the ice. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back after a quick break.